Today on CityCast Philly, bridge tolls across the Delaware River are going up. More details about the mass shooting in Carroll Park and the local athletes you can root for in the Olympics. We do have a disclaimer. We will mention a violent crime involving a minor in this episode. It's Friday, July 26th. I'm Trinine Uri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Get your coins together because the Delaware River Port Authority has announced that tolls on the Ben Franklin, Walt Whitman, Commodore Barry, and Betsy Ross bridges will increase on September 1st. Can you guess how much the tolls are going up? So this is a little quiz, y'all. Is it A, 25 cents, B, 75 cents, C, $1, or D, $2?
I would say it is going up $1. I think I heard $6, Trinae. They said it's been a while that it's going up. I thought $5 is too much, but when you look at inflation, you look at what everything costs nowadays. I don't like it necessarily, but it could be more.
Okay, that was OJ Spivey's sports correspondent for the Philadelphia Tribune. His answer was $1. Mensa Dean, staff writer at The Trace, a nonprofit newsroom focused on gun violence. What's your answer?
Well, in the interest of full disclosure, I rarely get to New Jersey, so I don't know what
You have no idea.
I don't know what it is right now, but I would say maybe OJ is probably in the ballpark with about $1.
Yep. That's right. The tolls are going up $1, which means it's a total of $6. See, this is how I feel. Like $5 was easy. If you had $5, just hand over a $5 bill or use your Easy Pass. But now it's like you got to get the extra $1 in there. So, according to NBC Philadelphia, this is the first time in 13 years that tolls at these 4 bridges have gone up. And so there was a statement from the Delaware River Port Authority, and they said that the increase is, quote, due to the challenges of enhancing safety and security and maintaining aging infrastructure. So, yep, get ready, folks. Everything's going up, even the tolls. Okay, so speaking of going to Jersey, Mensa, I know you may not go to Jersey, but did you hear that the Garden State is rolling out the welcome mat to the 76ers to open their new stadium across the river?
I did hear that. And I also just heard that the 76ers said the team is staying in Philly. That's their intention. They want to, it's a Philadelphia team. And that's what they want to do. Philadelphia is one of the only cities that I know that all of their professional sports teams, and they have all 4, baseball, basketball, football, and hockey, are actually in the city. It's quite unique to see all the teams in the city. I would think that they're going to stay in Philadelphia because Philadelphia is really like it's a place that really loves its sports teams. And I think suburbanites also like coming to Philadelphia to see the sports teams. So I think the Sixers are going to be safe here.
Now, we do have to mention that the Sixers already have their practice facility over in Camden, New Jersey. So that's why I'm just like, oh, please, please don't.
Well, I don't think you have anything to worry about, Trinae. I do agree with Mensa that the Sixers will stay in Philly. That's been their target. They've always wanted to stay in Philly, the current owners and everything. And of course, the big elephant in the room is they want so badly a downtown arena. And I just think this whole story about, Jersey getting into the fray I just think it's probably a PR move or just something to just hasten the paperwork to get the city rolling on a downtown arena, despite all of the opposition from, of course, Chinatown and, some other community leaders and everything.
And speaking of arenas, did y'all see, I saw this week that Wells Fargo is going to drop their name from the Wells Fargo Center.
So the South Philly Arena, where the Sixers currently play, and as well as the Flyers, their parent company, Comcast, but they've had a long-term agreement with Wells Fargo, the financial institution, of course, which has come with a lot of scrutiny over the years. But the contract is up. And the way naming rights work is they'll say, okay, let us put your name on your building for 20 years, 25 years in some instances, and we'll pay you a certain amount. It's just a big branding tool, big advertising tool. So the contract is up. They probably just didn't want to invest anymore. And that happens around sports. Naming rights for buildings and stadiums change over time. And I believe that they will get some other type of name or some other type of branding on the arena. And ironically, when it was being built, it was called Spectrum 2 until they actually got all of the banks to put in their naming rights.
Okay, interesting. More news of the week after the break.
Hi, I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast. The best way to learn a language is immersion, living where the language is spoken and using it every day. That's how I learned French as a kid. But if that's not in the cards for you this year, you can still learn a language the second best way, and that's with Babbel. I live in a city with a huge immigrant population. You probably do too. And in my hometown, a lot of my new neighbors speak Spanish as a first language, and we have lots of great Mexican and Central American and South American restaurants and stores. I wanted to be able to communicate just a little bit better with some of my neighbors. So I started with Babbel, the science-backed language learning app that actually works. And after just a few extremely enjoyable weeks learning Spanish with Babbel, I've already gotten comfortable ordering at a restaurant and eavesdropping on my girlfriend's conversations with her mom. Look, learning a language isn't always easy, but with Babbel it is fun and it feels useful, basically immediately. That's why Babbel has over 16 million subscriptions sold. Plus, all of Babbel's 14 award-winning language courses are backed by their 20-day money-back guarantee. Here's a special limited-time deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Shifting gears, last weekend there was a mass shooting that left 3 men dead and 9 others wounded at a cookout in the Carroll Park neighborhood of West Philly. The Philadelphia Inquirer reported that more than 100 people had gathered at this cookout, and it's also been reported that it is the 7th shooting incident in which 5 or more people were shot this year. What were your reactions when y'all heard this story?
Well, for me, it was, even though shootings, fatal and non-fatal shootings are down this year, it's not a surprise because we have consistently had mass shootings in the city. I mean, 4 or more, 5 or more at a time. This happens half a dozen to a dozen times every year. We have mass shootings like this. It wasn't a surprise that it happened in Carroll Park, which is a area that is, I guess you could say it's a working class, struggling area. But I can't recall a shooting of that magnitude in that particular area. Okay, recently. So it was just it's unfortunate because the city is moving in the right direction with regard to bringing down shootings. It just reminds you that there's still a lot of guns out there, and there's a lot of people who just don't have the skills, the social skills, and the mindset to be able to de-escalate and to deal with their conflicts with others in constructive ways. But it's a wake-up call, I think, for the city that we have a long way to go with regard to dealing with this gun violence crisis.
OJ, did you want to weigh in about your reactions to this story?
Well, it's kind of close to my heart, Trinae, because I'm a West Philly native. I grew up in Cobbs Creek. My fiance, she's basically from Overbrook, which is close to Carroll Park, and everything. So it's just disheartening and just kind of like what Mensa said. You want to you want to feel positive because the numbers and the statistics are down, but it just seems like when the gun violence occurs here in our city, that it's a mass shooting and it's a lot. And, just so much more just needs to be done just from every level, whether it's from our city officials, the police, and our community. And Miss also talked about conflict resolution, those things, social skills, de-escalation. All those things are important to teach for our young people. A lot of it starts in the home, but we all have a collective responsibility to just keep violence down.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like when I open social media, that's like sometimes the first thing that I see, like recap videos of violence. And it feels like it's everywhere in this city. And it's like it's hard to escape it sometimes. And I'm also thinking about another story that I read this week about 16-year-old Jamil Wyatt, who was killed in Oxford Circle on Tuesday. I read this in 6ABC that officials said that more than 50 shots were fired at this teenager. And so he was clearly targeted. And so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, yes, I could ignore these stories, but it's also happening in our neighborhoods where I'm living and where my family lives and, where we live our lives. And it's just like, it's sometimes disheartening to just see all this violence keep happening over and over and over again. But I do want to mention also with the Carroll Park incident on Monday, city officials, including the mayor, they held a press conference where this all had happened. According to the Inquirer, Mayor Sherelle Parker urged residents to apply for block party permits for large gatherings so that police can plan accordingly. So we've talked about this on the podcast before about how the city has denied permits in certain parts of the city because of this risk of violence. In light of all this shooting, I think it's worth talking about again. So what do you think about the city's decision to deny block party permits in neighborhoods cited as quote unquote violent? Is this the right call or not?
I was at that press conference, and Mayor Parker was very adamant about the block party application piece. Seemed to even be kind of angry that there was no application for a block party. And if there had been, police would have been on notice and they would have been there, would have put that on their to-do list for that day to make sure that they keep a steady, patrol of that area during those hours of the block party. Now, yes, the city does deny certain, applications for block parties. And that's a case by case basis. I mean, there's not much you can do about that. But there are some places that are indeed in hot spots for shootings. It wouldn't be in the best interest of the community in some cases to, grant all of the permits in certain places where they know to be hot spots for violence. But in this particular case, the city officials were claiming that they were really caught off guard. They can't do all that they can do, if people are going to go around the system and have parties that are off, that are not sanctioned.
Gotcha. And since the shooting, 28-year-old Tahir Schultz, one of the men who was actually injured in this mass shooting, is facing multiple counts of murder, aggravated assault, and other charges. And as of Thursday, when we recorded this episode, police were still looking for a second suspect, 30-year-old Amir Jones, and that's according to 6ABC. I also want to mention that since all of this, too, there was a community meeting held this week at Vine Memorial Baptist Church on 56th and Girard Streets. And 6ABC reports that the meeting was packed. A lot of neighbors were out. They spoke and discussed ways to keep their neighborhood safe. I mean, when these things happen, Mensa, what are some strategies that you've heard about keeping neighborhoods safe?
The best way to stay safe, is to stay vigilant. As the old expression, keep your head on a swivel. A lot of people, stay away from areas. At that press conference where all the city officials were at the day after the shooting, there was a lady who spoke to the officials who had said, my 18-year-old daughter doesn't leave the house. And all the city officials said, well, we don't want that. We want your daughter to be able to leave. And I interviewed a lady who had said, a young lady who also said that she stays away. She lives on the block. She heard the shooting, but she didn't go to the block party, had no thoughts of going because it's so violent. So, I mean, just common sense things on the individual level, stay away from dangerous places at, off hours. This happened at 2:00 in the morning. The city officials had asked, they were imploring everyone through the media to report that they need the public's assistance in solving crimes like this. Don't keep information, share your videos, your ring, door videos, and also any information that you have. Don't harbor fugitives or people who are suspects. Let it be known. There's a ongoing program where the city rewards tips that lead to convictions in homicides, $20,000 for every homicide. And they also have another reward program where they offer $10,000 for tips that lead to convictions for shootings near schools, rec centers, and playgrounds. The city is really, it's obvious no city, no county can solve all the crimes, can prevent all the crimes. City officials are very, they're making it clear that they need the public to be a partner and policing and keeping the city safe.
All right, let's get into our final story, and it's all about Paris 2024 Summer Olympic Games. Competition did start on Wednesday, and it runs through Sunday, August 11th. Are you planning to watch the Olympics? If so, which events are you like an expert at or you pretend to be during the Olympics? Which events are you looking forward to the most?
Well, look, I'm sure I'm going to watch the basketball.
Same, me too.
But a lot of and I like the gymnastics too, I'm looking forward to seeing if Simone Biles will, bring it home this time. She sort of kind of short-circuited last 4 years ago. And, boxing as well. The Summer Olympics for me is the better Olympics, because they have more sports that I'm more familiar with, than all these winter, stuff.
Like bobsledding or maybe.
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to track and field, swimming, gymnastics, and I played field hockey in college, so I like to catch some field hockey games too. So I also think women's basketball, I feel like they're going to have a big moment this year just because of what we've seen so far this year in the WNBA. OJ, what about for you? What events are you looking forward to the most at the Olympics?
Well, of course, I am a sports guy for the most part, but I am really an Olympics fanatic. I just love all the sports. I'll turn on the television if I have some free time. I'll watch rowing, but like you, Trinae, I'm a big track and field fan. I do like basketball, as Mensa said, gymnastics, but I'm just really a big fan of the Olympics, just the whole atmosphere.
OJ, this week you wrote a piece in the Tribune about local athletes we can all root for in the Olympics. Tell us about them.
Oh, yes. We just wanted to focus on athletes with local ties, whether they were born here, whether they've played here, or if they're in a region. And, there's so many sports. You can start with basketball. Of course, Joel Embiid for the first time is playing for Team USA. He is a Cameroon native. He also has French ties because Cameroon is connected to France politically, but he chose the USA over France. And, he's trying to adjust as far as playing for the Olympic team. I mean, he's with great guys like LeBron James and Steph Curry and so forth, and they'll be going for another gold. And also, we have North Philly's own Kalia
Yeah.
Copper, WNBA superstar with currently the Phoenix Mercury. She was invited for the first time to play for the Team USA Women. So that's something to look forward to as well. And again, she's right from North Philly, and she's one of the great players in the NBA who's already won a championship. She's a former WNBA Finals MVP. So she's going for the gold for the first time. And then you just have other stars throughout the region, whether it's New Jersey, whether it's Delaware. For example, you have a young kid, 18 years old, Raekwon Noel. He's a South Jersey kid. He's one of the best swimmers in the nation, and he's swimming for not Team USA, but he's swimming for his country,
Mm,
Guyana. So he is one to watch. South Jersey kid, just graduated high school.
that's huge.
So he's going right from the graduation stage into the pool. So
Right.
another guy to watch. Lissa Thomas, who plays for the Connecticut Sun. She's on Team USA as well. She's a Harrisburg native. We have a couple rugby players. Ariana Ramsey. She's a Bridgeport, PA native, Upper Marion High School, went to Dartmouth, and she's playing for the Team USA Women with Rugby, as well as Malachi Esdale. He's a Delaware native. He's playing rugby as well.
All right, we have a whole lineup of people to root for. You can watch the opening ceremony today starting at 1:30 p.m., which is 7:30 Paris time, on several television channels, apps, streaming platforms. Click the links in the show notes. All right, that was OJ Spivey, sports correspondent for the Philadelphia Tribune, and Mensa Dean, staff writer at The Trace. As always, thank you both so much for joining me on CityCast Philly.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shanae. Always great to be on with you.
It's time for the tip of the week, where we share a life hack for living in Philly. If you or anyone in your family wants to learn how to swim, well, the city pools offer free swim lessons. Check out your local pool to sign up. We've got a link in the show notes. If you have a tip of the week, we'd love to hear from you too. Call or text us at 215-259-8170. All right, y'all, that's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Our producers are Abby Fritz and Lizzie Goldsmith. Our Hey Philly newsletter editor is Asha Prihar. And our host is me, Trenae Nuri. Music is by Philly's own Interminable, with additional music from All the Kimonos and James Weldon. If you enjoyed this show, tell a friend who's also really into the Olympics too. Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter, Hey Philly. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend and be safe, y'all. Bye.